Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Entrepreneur's Inner Game podcast. This is the show where we delve deep into highly successful entrepreneurs' mindsets, and they share their juiciest strategies and tips to help you to create a peak performance mindset as well. I'm very, very excited to welcome a dear friend of mine, Melanie Benson. She is a highly successful entrepreneur. She's the authority amplifier for expert-preneurs. She shows you how to stand out in a crowded market and attract high-paying clients and opportunities. Melanie has a proven track record of accelerating results for her clients. It's not uncommon for them to see a 3 to 5 times revenue increase in the first 6 months of working with her. She's host of Amplify Your Success Podcast, which I highly rate, and I would encourage you to go and listen to that. And she's also the author of Rewired for Wealth, co-author of the best-selling Voices of the 21st Century and Entrepreneur.com Startup Guide to Starting an Information Marketing Business. She's also been featured in Bloomberg BusinessWeek, Women's Day, and Parenting. Melanie, a very warm welcome, and I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you. I've been looking forward to this because we both love mindset so much. We know it's such a pivotal part of success as an entrepreneur. So we get to jam on our favorite topic together.
Absolutely. And this is going to be so much fun. Melanie, I'd like to start at the beginning. How did you come to grow your success? And what role did mindset play in that?
Well, let's just say when I started my business, mindset was not really a key part of my strategy. And I tried a lot of different things that didn't work until I discovered how to rewire my mindset. I started my business 21 years ago. I came out of a corporate marketplace where, business is done very differently than if we're a solopreneur and, everything is up to us. And I guess it was about 18 months in, I found myself looking at my computer one day and seeing the bills stacking up, the bank account shrinking rapidly. I live in Los Angeles, which is not an inexpensive place to live as a struggling entrepreneur, and thinking, all right, something really has to shift here because I don't have the formula down. Like what I'm doing isn't working. I am working 80, 100 hours a week, and nothing is moving the revenue needle. And it was about that time that I used to host events in Los Angeles area every month, and I was booking speakers, and I ran across this guy who was talking about his breakthrough formula. And I sat in that room and thought, OMG, I think I know what's broken. And it's nothing I'm doing, it's what I'm thinking. And I realized that my belief system was fractured. It was based on fear and scarcity and limitation. And here I was trying to drive a Ferrari with a Volkswagen engine, right? Or maybe even a moped engine. Like it was not very powerful, and it was not going to fuel this car. Thank you. Yes, it seems to be very vivid. Like we know what a Ferrari is supposed to run like. And here we are as entrepreneurs, we're constantly trying to fuel our success with an engine that cannot possibly get that car up to speed properly. And so I did mindset work. I went through every program this guy had. And I quickly discovered that it wasn't about doing things. It was about rewiring the thought patterns that guided every decision, every goal, every strategy that I said yes to, or I was resisting because I couldn't see how it would work. And that's how my business got off the ground. And the funny thing was I could not get past $1,000 a month, no matter what I tried. I could not break that ceiling. And I just struggled for months and months and months. After I took those programs, I made a decision. Well, actually, I made a decision and then I took those programs. I made a decision that I was going to figure out how to break 6 figures within the year. I didn't know how, I didn't know what, I had no vision of what that was going to look like, but I just made a decision. And I feel like it's one of the most powerful mindset catalysts that we have on this planet is the power of our decision. And in that decision, within a few weeks, I ran across this guy and everything happened. And within 9 months of the moment I made that decision, I broke 6 figures for the very first time. Now, did I do things differently? Of course, right? Nina, we know once we get the mindset in place, the decisions drive new behavior. They drive new activity. They drive new decision-making, which changes the strategies. And instead of resisting things that people have been saying, if you do this, you will get better results, I was like, yeah, I'm going to do that. Instead of like letting fear drive my decisions and holding myself back, I let possibility drive my decisions. And it wasn't that I never made another misstep. I just had a different paradigm of what was possible. And that became my reality. So that's the shorter version of the very long story 21 years ago. But ever since then, I just knew I was going to have to continue to bring the mindset work into everything that I do personally and everything I teach my clients, because that's where I see people get stuck.
Absolutely. And we tend to look to the outside world to do us a favor or present an opportunity, but we can have all the opportunities coming in front of us, but if we don't have the mindset to accept them and open the door to them, they're going to keep falling flat. So this is a really great contrast for you, the before and then the after, and the difference that it made. And it's almost like, you had that aha moment. So for those people who still feel that it's not the mindset, that the mindset is just something that's on the side, but the real stuff is taking action, pushing through it, using determination and all those things that we're taught to do as children. If you keep doing it, practicing it, then you will get better at it, you'll eventually achieve. What would you say about that it's the other way around, it's pushing through it, and then the mindset happens as a result of pushing through it?
Well, let me share a couple of components that I think will really unpack this and bring it home. And we'll leave no doubt how impactful the change in our thinking makes. I think mindset sometimes is like this ambiguous word, right? It's like, okay, well, what is mindset? And I think of it, and I know you and I share this ideology, but I think of it as a collection of thoughts and beliefs and ideas that shape the way we feel and make decisions and take action, right? So that's kind of the short version of that definition. For me, when I started to dig deeper into mindset, because I was like, yeah, like I think I got this, right? Like I was kind of skimming on the surface of things. And I did an exercise one day in my mentor's program that radically altered my DNA. When you have one of those moments, because I know you've done this work too. And as you're listening in, like, I would love to hear if this is one of the things that's come up for you. I was sitting in this room. I started this exercise. I was bumping into my limitation. It was a values exercise. And he had us write down what we valued. And nowhere on my values list was money. What that exposed was that I did not value prosperity. I had a deep subconscious feeling state about creating wealth and prosperity that it wasn't noble. And that as a coach, like I shouldn't make, as a heart-based coach, I shouldn't make making money the goal. Like I felt weird about it. And it was coloring everything from my sales strategy. Like I didn't want to sell. Like I was like, no, I'm not selling. Like that's icky. Like I'm not going to be a used car salesperson. Like I had so many stories built up around it all. And the moment that my mentor said, so you're financially struggling, isn't it interesting that you don't value money? And in this moment, I'm even getting the feeling again, every fiber of my DNA sparked. It was like this electrical current went through my body. And those are the moments when I'm working with clients and when I do the work for myself, I know I have rewired a deep genetic pattern, like a DNA that we have adopted about money and success. And I felt everything in my system shift. I literally couldn't form a thought for about a half an hour because my brain was recalibrating everything to recognize that, oh, actually, it is valuable to value prosperity. It is okay. Like everything started rewiring. And from that moment on, it was like every decision I made was aligned with being prosperous instead of being in struggle. And so the shift, it wasn't that like I was that different as a human being, but my focal point changed. And I started asking myself better questions, which I think is an after effect of doing these mindset upgrades. And instead of saying, okay, I don't want to like lose money, or, okay, I'm afraid that this isn't going to work, so I have to hold myself back, I started saying, what would I have to do differently to achieve this goal? Okay, so if I don't know where the money is from right now, how could I be a magnet and pull this financial abundance in so that I can make this investment? And okay, so I don't know how to pull this off. Who do I know who does? And how can I invest in time with them or mastermind with them or in some way get that knowledge in me so I can know how to do this, right? Everything changed. Instead of resisting selling, this was my favorite one, Nina. Instead of resisting selling, I started to study with the masters, and I learned how to integrate and hold this powerful container for somebody who really wants change and help them make a powerful decision. And so where it was like hard to sell something for $500, like I was selling $15,000 packages, like it was candy. And it wasn't like nothing big really changed except my way of thinking. So hopefully I unpacked that a little bit more and gave some concrete examples.
Wonderful. I'd like to just dive into a couple of these things around here. As coaches and consultants, etc., it can seem that it's a bit shameful to think, well, I want to make a lot of money, and that we should be putting service at the very top. Now, service for me and being on purpose is absolutely the most important thing, because we want to love what we're doing. We could be doing something else and be making good money, but we've chosen this particular thing. But I've worked with hundreds of entrepreneurs, as you have, and I've come across so many who feel ashamed of wanting to make a really good income, and they push it back and they suppress it and they don't deal with that. And then they wonder why they don't see the results that they want, because it's tied with service. If you're not getting the clients, if you're not getting, working with the people you want to, and they're paying you, you cannot be of service. So the two things absolutely go hand in hand, and we shouldn't try and separate them. We should just say, this is the exchange, a wonderful exchange of value. And that's happening here.
Yeah, you just, I think, used a key word, and that's value. And so this is not uncommon. Most of the clients that come to me, they have this presupposed limit on what they think they should charge or what they believe they can earn, and what's going to be approved of in the world. And I think, again, this comes from deep childhood conditioning, the paradigm that somebody else had that they indoctrinated us into. For me, one of the big pieces, and I think this comes up for a lot of women in particular, is I wasn't clear on my value. And I had to do a lot of like reconditioning my belief in my own value to like succeed as a mentor, as a coach, as a business owner. And so I do think there's an element of like imposter syndrome, fraud, like these feelings of fraud, or like questioning, like, am I really even good enough to do this, that we have to tackle. But assuming that that's resolved, I think sometimes this can be as simple as something that logic can bring us. And that is, what is the dollar value of the result that we are capable of helping people achieve? What is the cost of the thing they're struggling with? And how do we actually help them resolve that and be able to achieve goals that have meaning and value to them? And so most people don't think in terms of a monetary value to the outcomes they're creating. And when I do this exercise with my clients, all of a sudden the light bulbs go off. I'm working with a guy. He's such a fantastic client, where he's doing a VIP package with me right now. And he does something really unique in the world. And that is, he helps charities raise money. And so he had this conditioning and this belief that charities can only come up with a certain amount of money to pay for his services. And so I put him through the values exercise where I'm like, okay, let's get really clear what it is that you are, you have a pattern of creating as a result for your clients. By the time we were done with this exercise, Nina, he was fully on board with doubling his rates. Now he was nervous. So again, the fear came back again. So I said, all right, you're allowed to have a bridge. You can make an offer between where you are now and where you want to go. His clients that had been working with him often got $200,000, $300,000 out of his efforts. And I said, are you trying to tell me that you have a hard time asking for $10,000 to produce them $300,000 in revenue? That is you can't even do that on the stock market right now. And so when and to finish that story, he started asking for the 10,000 and not one person said no. They said, you're worth that and more. And that was the moment he realized to get where he wanted to go, he literally just had to change the story in his head, and, the data helped. So we can shatter the mindset piece, like the beliefs, or we can get the logic, or we do both. And that becomes what I think is like a confidence booster to be able to raise your rates. That's part of the formula I teach in being a highly paid authority.
Yeah, I think I love that. That's such a wonderful story and such a great illustration, because he owned it. And it's all very well saying, well, intellectually, I get it. Intellectually, I can see that I bring value, but I still feel really scared about asking for a higher price. It's really embodying it and owning it and living as that person who charges 10K or whatever the price point is. And that is a shift that has to be made to be able to really stand in it and act and be from that position. And this is the stuff that I really love about mindset. It's not something that's woolly or, not really, it's not fluff. It actually drives every single decision, as you said, that we make. I would love to just get into the selling part of it, because I know that selling, a lot of people who are listening and watching this are terrified of sales conversations, because they feel, oh my gosh, no one's going to want, no one's going to take me up on my price. I'm going to be too expensive. I'm going to start wobbling when I have to say my price. And oh my gosh, they're going to say no. So we go in with that mindset when we're selling. So do you have any advice, any information that can help our listeners to feel more confident about themselves and what they're selling?
So I am the quintessential sales makeover case study, right? Because as I mentioned, I had so much resistance, I had so much fear. I would even sabotage like the follow-up so that I didn't have to get into these conversations. And of course, that's not going to help move into consistent cash flow. And so one of the things that I think is a huge mindset shift, I teach a process called zero friction selling, because first of all, you have to get into a friction-free space with it. You have to get your own fears in check. And then we can create a friction-free environment for our clients, our potential clients, to experience our magic and decide. Like, and so the mindset, it all started for me with a major mindset shift around selling, is that I'm not selling anybody anything. I have a solution that solves a very big problem for people that they struggle with and costs them hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years that they struggle with it. And if I am in a conversation with somebody who has that problem and is committed to solving that problem, then it's just a conversation of, am I the right person? So I get to help somebody solve something they're struggling with for years and do it in a way that is so transformational that it locks in the change and they don't slide back into the old problems. And when we embrace the real value of the work we do, and we understand clearly who it's for and what's the cost of the problem we're solving, and then we learn how to kind of, I say, architect a powerful conversation that is just empowering the person to decide, is it me or someone else? Then we're not selling anything. I've had people tell me, Nina, and it was such a compliment. I like giggled because they had no idea what a compliment it was. And they said, this was the most amazing sales process I've ever been in. Like, I didn't feel sold once, and I spent more money than I ever have invested in a mentor, and it feels good. And I'm like, yes, that's what's possible when we like shift our own energy first. And we're like, there's no friction here. There's no pushing, there's no manipulating, there's no forcing people to do anything. If we do a good job of putting all the components together, we should be someone's hero. And it's just really about the know, like, and trust factor at that point. Do they know us? Do they like us? And do they trust us to work with us? And those are the things you can create in your sales process that help people reduce the friction so they're ready to make a buying decision.
Yeah. Selling is such a mind game. It really
Totally.
is. And it's shifting from feeling you're an inferior partner in the selling process to feeling you're an absolute equal. And as you said, even a hero, because you have the solution to that person's heartache, which it often is, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it can absolutely destroy people because until they find that solution.
And I think really, and Nina, maybe you've bumped into this too. I think one of the key components that people forget is you got to be having conversations with the people who want to solve the problem. Where I think the friction grows, and like the disheartened feeling, it's like, oh my God, I'm meeting with all these people and nothing's working, is because you're trying to convince people who either don't have the problem or aren't ready to solve the problem that they should work with you. And then there's just going to be bad energy. There's going to be friction because they're like, I don't like, this isn't even for me. I had a client one time who she was doing something for women in terms of like that stage of life when we start to enter our wise years, AKA menopause, right? And, everything's changing and it's kind of mysterious and sometimes really scary. Yeah. Like, we know this one. And she wanted to be their guide into like a happy, healthy menopause state. And she was meeting with women who either couldn't embrace the ideology or weren't even in menopause or had no connection to what she was doing at all. And she's like, I'm having all these lunch meetings and nobody's buying, nobody's referring me anything. And I'm like, hold on, who are you meeting with? And she was listing off all these people. And I'm like, they don't have the problem. Like, you have to make sure that you have a way to get people who want to do something about it before you get them on the phone. So I think it's just being really tuned into who is your ideal client, and do they know enough about the problem and want to solve the problem to make it worth your time and energy to have a conversation? Otherwise, you're just selling.
Yeah, and you're wasting your time as well, because you think, well, I've had 5 sales calls, no one's bought, therefore I'm not good at selling. And then we jump to all these conclusions about ourselves, which simply aren't true. I can see in the background that you've got Amplify. What is your top tip for our listeners to amplify what they have, who they are, their business, their services?
Ooh, top tip. You're really challenging me here. So I think of amplifying as taking something that you're passionate about and that you have a good vibe around, and like maximizing and exponentially growing its impact in the world, whether it's the amplifying your wealth, amplifying your impact, amplifying your like your message. There's always this thing, and to me it's the perfect balance of feminine and masculine energy, because amplification is really effortless once you get the right pieces in place. So my best tip would be to really truly focus on your superpower. What I see happening for a lot of business owners is they get caught up in all the things they could do. This bright, shiny object syndrome, multi-passionate, like I got all these things. And what ends up happening is you're trying to amplify so many things that nothing is moving. I think of it like, if I want to drive a train, but from here to Mexico, let's say, and I'm in Los Angeles, and I've got 7 trains I've got to move, it's going to be a very slow process if I have to get off each train and run back and pull the next one forward, right? And multi-passionate entrepreneurs are driving lots of different trains in the market. And I like the idea. It doesn't mean you can only do one thing, but like to take something that's really based on your core superpower that solves a costly problem for your ideal client and figure out how to amplify the impact of that by having something I call a unique profit amplifier, having a big ticket offer that really moves the needle for revenue and impact and really helps elevate your authority in the world. So to me, the power of amplifying things starts with crystal clear focus on your core superpower. And then figure out how to, you can link other things together. You can delegate the things you're not good at. We can create systems and automation for a lot of components. But if we're trying to move all of it forward, it's exhausting, Nina. I mean, I've been there, I've done that. Like I've had too many offers and going, oh my gosh, what am I doing? I've like created all of this stuff that I got to move out in the market. And it just never works as well as when you really have that key thing that the signature offering that you build your authority around.
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful, wonderful tip and something that would highly recommend that anyone who's listening, please take that on board, because we have a certain amount of time and energy we put into our business and we have to have a work-life balance. So we're not working in our business continually. If your plate is stacked too high, look at your plate and take stuff off it. And as Melanie says, if you remove stuff, your superpower will be shining brightly. At the moment, it's probably covered up with a load of stuff that you're doing that you don't need to be doing. So please, please, please focus on one thing and do it brilliantly. And then you can always add more stuff as and when you want to. I've been down that path so many times. I think, oh, someone's had a success with that. I'm going to look at it, but it doesn't play to my strengths. And I don't get the result, but it takes me away from what I do very, very well.
And it confuses the market because then they're like, wait, what is it that they do again? Like, are you this or are you that? And I know that some people are like, it feels like prison to limit my creativity. And what I want to really say and have like integrated into your beingness, if you're a multi-passionate entrepreneur with lots of interests, is just because it's interesting to you doesn't mean you need to put it into your business. There are ways to channel this creativity so that you can really bring your core gifts to your market and be known for that, and then integrate them into other things that you do later.
Fantastic. Wonderful, wonderful advice. Melanie, thank you so much. It's been so wonderful. Before we finish, I'd love to know how our listeners, our viewers can find out more about you and the fantastic work that you do.
Yeah, absolutely. You can always find me at melaniebenson.com. And if you go to melaniebenson.com/inner game, we have set up a resource that pulls all of these components we've talked about today into a roadmap that'll help you really assess for yourself. Do I have all the components to be a highly paid authority and to have the mindset of somebody who can build prosperity and abundance in their lives? And it's a 8-step roadmap and a masterclass that goes with it. And more than happy to share it with our community here today to help you make sure that those next 12 months, you're using this roadmap and you're really amplifying your authority and your impact.
Sounds like a fantastic tool, and I encourage everyone to head over. We will have that link put up for you, and please do head over to it and grab that free tool, and it will show you where the gaps are, what you're doing well, and where you maybe need to do a little bit more work. Melanie, thank you so much for being a guest. It's been wonderful, and thank you for sharing all your mindset wisdom with us. And for everyone who's been watching, thank you so much for joining us. Till next time, bye-bye for now.